Welcome to our video on Pilates and standing posture. So I want you to start standing, makes sense, doesn't it? We're going to have our toes separated, so all 10 toes, I want you to separate those and connect them to the mat. We want to have our feet in line with our hip bones, so we don't want to be too wide, don't want to be too narrow. So actually bring your feet together for me with those separated toes. We're now going to take the heels out, and then we're going to take the feet out and just look down and think, are my big toes lined up? Does it look like my feet are underneath my hip bones? Hopefully it does. So separating the toes and connecting through the heels as well. You're going to rock yourself so that your weight is over your toes. Rock yourself back so the weight's in the heels. So we're coming forward with the weight in the toes, backwards with the weight in the heels. We need to make that smaller. We're going smaller and smaller with these movements. And then we're going to pause and try and stop so that we've got equal pressure over the toes and the heels. We also want to be thinking about standing equally on the right and the left foot. So hopefully you've got a sense of that. Now we're moving on to the pelvis. I want you to stick your bum out so you get an arch in the lower back. And then tuck it right underneath so you're feeling this squeeze in the bum. We'll do that again. So we're going to stick out the bum and tuck under. We're going to make this smaller. So we want you to tilt the pelvis and then tuck the pelvis. And we're making that movement smaller and smaller. And we want to end up resting in the middle. When you think you've found your midpoint, that is neutral pelvis. We're going to check in. So I want you to take your thumbs and just place them on your hip bones. So I've got my thumbs on those knobbly bits of my hip, and then bringing your second fingers down so you can get those on your pubic bone. And just think, does it feel like everything's in the same line? Is it flat through this area here? Fabulous. Now we're going to take those hands away. Ribs are next. So some people stand with their ribs pushed out, leaning slightly back. Some people will stand with their ribs really tucked in and then rounded forward. We want to be again in the middle point. So we want to have this idea of drawing the ribs in slightly, but not so that you're doing a stomach crunch the whole time. So just have a little feel around and a think about that one. I'm going to bring in the shoulders round and sliding them nice and wide and down in the back. So if you imagine having a coat hanger in your top, you would have that width across the back. So we're just sliding those arms down, but we're keeping them quite wide, reaching through the fingers. I want you to take your attention back to your bum now and just see, are you squeezing in your bum cheeks to try and hold you? If so, just release those bum cheeks and think about sending your glutes, sending your bum muscles down towards your heels. So we're not actively squeezing, but there is a little activation in there. Now onto the spine. We want to try and get this sense of length and space between each individual vertebrae. So can you, whilst reaching your hands down, try and grow and grow and grow through the crown of the head, still planted and connected through the feet. Get that sense of just lengthening and lengthening and lengthening. Hopefully now we're almost stood in our setup, stood position. Last thing is our head. Now lots of people stand with their head forward. So imagine you're stood against a wall. Can you bring that head up? Can you bring your chin slightly in and get that length going all the way through the back of the neck as well? You should be looking at the horizon. Take some nice big breaths in and out here. We want to try and breathe into the rib cage. And then as we breathe out, exhaling through the pelvis and upwards. So we inhale into the ribs, thinking about expanding through those lungs, and exhaling the air from the bottom upwards. Couple of breaths here. Keep breathing, and I'm going to give you a quick reminder. So we want to have our toes separated, weight over toes and heels, weight equal over the right and the left foot. Pelvis is in neutral. We don't want the bum stuck out or tucked right underneath us. And it should feel like your pelvis is in the centre here. We want to have our ribs gently drawn in, shoulder blades down and wide with the arms reaching, lengthened all the way through the spine, growing through the crown of the head, looking at the horizon with that long neck.